Now everybody wants some blast of magic, 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 magic. I got the magic in me.
Welcome back to Bob's Magic Emporium. Time for the next all-new Magician 101, the show for all magicians. Before we get started, tomorrow night, make sure to watch Sci-Fi, because it's the season premiere of Wizard Wars at 10, right after WWE SmackDown. So be on the lookout for that. And then the new series Close-Up Kings debuts right afterwards at 11. So definitely go check that out on Sci-Fi. Imagine greater. Alright, well let's get started with the questions. I'm going to post your questions down below for next week. I'll give them an answer. First question comes from Taylor Lunsford Magic, and he says, who is your favorite magician as of right now? That's a hard one, because I'm not really sure. I guess Chris Ballinger is still my favorite. I love Chris Ballinger. Always loved Bill Malone, too. So those are my probably two favorites. Oh, and David Regal's a very funny performer, too. So one of those three. I love them. I think they're hilarious. All three of them are. And Chris Ballinger does great Magic Mondays, too. So definitely go check out Chris Ballinger's Magic Mondays on his YouTube page. Taylor also says, in one of the geeky times, they talked about something called Photo Booth. Have you heard anything if Chris took it with him? Pretty Clip 2.0 is coming, by the way. Just had to work out some problems. Big smiley face. I don't know if Chris took the Photo Booth trick with him. Maybe, because I know he's with Vanishing Ink a little bit, kind of. I don't know if he's with them right now, but I mean, he is, but I don't know if he's doing anything secret project-wise right now. So he may have put out Photo Booth from Vanishing Ink. He may. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know, though. You could even ask him on his Twitter or Facebook page, you know, if you want to know more details, because he'll tell you more about it than I can. All right, and Pretty Clip 2.0, great. I think it's going to be a great trick where you have paperclip, freely chosen by a spectator, and it's going to be clipped to a card that's in a card box. It looks really cool. You know, I heard somebody gave him an idea for that, to do Pretty Clip 2.0. I don't know who it was. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So I don't know, but, you know, maybe he can tell me who it is, because I don't know. Hint, hint, wink, wink. All right, let's move on. Richie Peters says, what's your favorite part about Mini Metamorphosis? All right, I should have started with this question first, but I got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is Mini Metamorphosis was busted. The seller on eBay basically outright lied in his description. He said it was used, but he didn't say that the trick was broken. So, I sent it back for a refund. I'm getting a full refund for the trick, but unfortunately I don't have that trick anymore. And now I'm back on the hunt for another magic trick, for another Mini Metamorphosis. So, if I get one, I will definitely do a review and all that good stuff. That's why there wasn't a Mini Metamorphosis on Magic Monday this week. And it stinks. That's a really awesome trick. The gimmick is really clever, but unfortunately, the gimmick wasn't working. That's alright, though. Maybe I'll get another one soon. You never know. And also, speaking of getting stuff, I'm getting something, hopefully, the auction ends next week, so I still have a lot of time, but I might be getting something pretty cool. Non-Magic related, Wizard of Oz related, but I'm not going to spoil it. If I do get it, I'll definitely do an unboxing, because this thing is super cool if I can get it. It's pretty low right now for the price, so I may be getting it, so we'll see what happens. Alright, next question is from, who am I going to do? Purple Link Lego 11. What is your favorite coin trick? Good trick. Good question. I don't usually do too many coin tricks. I'm not very good at the coin sleight of hand stuff, but I do Scotch and soda. That's probably my favorite, but that doesn't really require any sleight of hand because it really doesn't. So my favorite sleight of hand one that I actually do is Barry Taylor's Ultimate Penny Routine. Barry Taylor, if you don't know who he is, ran Barry's Magic Shop in the D.C. area here for like 37 years, and he closed down shop about 2 or 3 years ago, and but his coin trick, the Ultimate Penny Routine, is really fun, where you make a regular sized penny, turn it into one that's the size of a $50, and then it turns into one of those really jumbo pennies, like the really big ones. So that's a really fun one to do. And it's quick, it's about a minute long, so it's not that long. You can just do table, and if you only have like a few moments at a restaurant walking around or something like that during street magic, it doesn't take that long. Another good one he puts out is Mouse Surprise. That's a fun one too, where a coin does some vanishes, reappearing, and then it turns into a mouse. That's a great one too. Alright, next question comes from Wayne Carter. He says, how did you get the table hopping gig? Was it a luncheon or a dinner show? And how long did it last? I didn't know people still use the word luncheon anymore, but I guess they do. Okay, first of all, if you don't know, the table hopping gig I did last week, trying to think, was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week. I don't even remember. It was last Thursday, and it was for M&T Bank, and they just had me go around the guy who was running it had me go around the table to table. It was an hour and a half, And the cool thing was, I said, this is my rate, this is my fee, and, he even gave me a bonus because I did so well. And actually, I stayed for a little bit longer than an hour and a half. Because there was a big wig there that came in right at the end who we wanted me to do magic for. And I was fine with that. So pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So it was a pretty cool gig. It was a dinner show. And the cool thing was how I got the gig was every time an ornament event happens at the Hallmark store, there's 4 big ones. Or 5. There's Ornament Premiere in July, Ornament Debut in October, Holiday Open House in November, and then Gifts of Memories weekend in the first weekend in December. Well, I was doing my magic for the premiere during the summer, and we had the doors open, so I was kind of standing outside because it wasn't too hot actually in that day. I think that day was like 70 or something. So it wasn't too terribly hot out. So I was standing outside, and the assistant manager was standing next to me. And this guy walks by with the owner. I think she's the owner of the M&T Bank that's right by our work that we go to. And they were walking by, and the guy who I got the gig from stopped and was like, "Hey, I want to see a magic trick. Do something for me, please." He didn't say it like that, but he was like, "Do a trick for me." So I was like, "Sure." And I did the dirty pool trick. And when that pool ball came out of the card box, that guy got floored. He was like, "That's so amazing. Oh my gosh." He was so excited about that dirty pool trick. He loved it. And he was like, "Do you have a business card on you?" So I was like, "Let me check," because I don't usually bring my business cards to my Hallmark job because I don't know if I'm allowed to pass them out there, and I don't know if that'd be right. So I don't usually bring them, but I had one on me, thank goodness. And I handed it to him. He's like, "I'll get in touch about doing a gig." So I'm like, great. So he never called me. It was, it's like 3 or 4 months later, and I was just like, I never heard from that M&T guy. No, well, I guess I'm not going to do this gig. I just thought, or maybe he can't hire me. Maybe he went up the food chain a little bit, and they said no to this guy. But he called me like first week in December and was like, "Hey, would you still be interested in doing our gig?" And I was like, "What? Yes, of course." So I told him my fee, and he's like, "We can definitely work with that. That's definitely doable." And he's like, "Can you do an hour and a half?" I was like, "Sure." And we just worked out all the details, hammered them out, and lo and behold, boom, I went and did the thing, and it was fun. Everybody had a good time, and he even gave me a bonus, like I said. So even better. That makes me feel good as a magician too. When somebody gives you a bonus because you went above and beyond their expectations, which I love that. That just means you're not a failure in magic. No matter how many people may, if you do YouTube videos like I do, dislike a video, or you get a bad review on your website or something because somebody says, "Oh, you're the worst magician ever." I've had that before. People have told me I'm the worst magician ever. You're a disgrace to magic. Somebody actually said that you're a disgrace to magic, and I know where you do your magic at. He knew where I got my magic from because it shows in my work. This guy just went all out. I mean, the first thing was like he was belittling me, and then he said, "But I can help you." So what I did was I was like, "Okay, you're an idiot." Then I deleted that email because I was like, you don't start off by telling everybody that they're no good, disgrace to magic, you shouldn't even be performing magic, and then say, "But I can help you," because once you hear the words "you're no good," you're going to kind of zone out anything else the guy has to say after that. But hey, I will say I think that guy helped me in my magic to get better. I think I started getting better after that email, just to prove to that guy, "Hey, look, I'm no idiot. I can be like the best of them." So I think that's a good tip for all of you magicians out there. Get some nasty email from somebody, because it really floored me to get even better than I thought that I was. I thought I was pretty good. But looking back, I think about the time I got that email, I think I started to get even better with my magic. I think it shows. I was watching the Geeky Times, Magic Geek, when they had the Digital Magician Contest back in like 2011, I think it was. And I found some old videos on a memory card. And I popped it in, and I'm like, oh my God, I was terrible. And I was like, I think that guy was right who belittled me. But that's for a whole other story. I can go into that next time if you want. I can do a special video for that if you guys really want to know all the details about that. If you do, comment that. Do that special video about the time the guy, kind of basically said you were no good, because I'll do the video. I'll talk about it and talk about what I think. But that's for another video. All right, next question is from Brendan Shepard. And I got to tell you, I don't like this question because I've been thinking about it ever since he posted it. And I'm having a terrible time trying to come up with an answer. But he says, "Oh, I had a question. What is your favorite all-time magic gimmick?" I don't know, really. I mean, there's a lot of great magic gimmicks out there. Again, as most magicians say, and I can attest to this, people like gimmick tricks, but also do some non-gimmick tricks too. Always. That's good. But wow, I mean, a lot of the Tenyo gimmicks are really fantastic. I mean, I think it's gonna be hard to pick my all-time favorite. So I'm gonna probably pick 3. My top 3 favorite gimmicks. Crystal Cleaver by Tenyo, the one where the sword penetrates the box and the ring. That is amazing. The gimmick is probably the best Tenyo gimmick ever. I love that one. And that one is still available for purchase. And a lot of people on that website, funstuffonly.com/Tenyo, which I've talked about many times before, the guy who runs it, John Mazza, said, get this trick now, because when it goes out of stock, it's going to probably go up in price, and it's going to be one of those really rare tricks. So get it now if you can. Definitely. Another good magic gimmick I love is Chris Ballinger's Redemption. I think that's an amazing gimmick, because when you make the change happen, whether it be in your own hand or in a spectator's hand, people don't expect it, because they're just like, what? And the cool thing is, when the change happens, they see it happen, especially if you have it so you have, like, the card, if it doesn't switch, the card changes from one suit, like a club, into a completely different color suit, like a heart or a diamond. That's really fun. And also the cool thing about that trick is the card, when it restores itself on top, and it's actually the spectator's signed card, they get floored by that. They love that. And my other favorite gimmick trick is Mark Mason's crosswords. That's a fun gimmick because, like I talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, Mark Mason actually, when I perform the trick, people think they know how the trick's done. The second phase of the routine comes in when you shake the cards and they change from mine to yours. Spectators have always told me, I don't know how you did that, because that was pretty cool. So, they love that. All right, and the final question comes from Philip E. He says, what has been your worst heckling situation while performing? Also, what brand of shoes do you wear most recently? Thank you and keep up the good work. Okay, I actually have New Balance shoes for work, and I have Nikes that I wear when I'm not at work, because unfortunately our uniform calls for black pants, black shoes, and a white or black solid shirt. So it's not a very fancy uniform, so we have to wear the black shoes. Now, what was your question? I just lost it. Oh, there we go. What has been your worst heckling situation while performing? Oh, wow. My worst heckling situation. Well, I wouldn't really call it a worst, because I think it's the fun heckling situation. I've had drunk people when I performed on the boardwalk of Ocean City come up, and you can tell they're a little bit tipsy. I've never had anybody that's been real tipsy, but and it's fun to do magic for them, because they're just like, whoa, oh my god, and you just see that they've blown their drunk minds, which is fun. But that's not a heckling situation. My worst one was this older lady. I don't know how old she really was. I'm terrible at guessing ages. I'd probably say she was probably a grandmother, because there was 2 kids, a mom, I think a dad, and there was also her. So she's probably a grandmother, probably in her 60s, I'm going to say. And all she did was stand there and just cause chaos. And she was an older lady, and I was just like, are you really? And, and I had to stop my show, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm done. And I stopped my show for a good 5 minutes. She walked away. I got a nice little tip, though, from some people. They were just like, I am sorry about that lady, because she just stood there. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't intoxicated. She wasn't anything. She wasn't high on anything. But she just wanted to make the show miserable. And there was one trick where I did flash. I'll give her the credit on that. I did flash on one trick, and she was like, oh, she caught it. And I was like, okay, because I think it was a new trick I was just starting to learn. It might have been, and she caught it, but the rest of the stuff, she was just bringing it down. She was just like, oh, that's the worst. One trick she actually said, that's the worst trick I've ever seen, and I was like, wow. I was like, okay, this is fun. And she ruined everybody else's experience, so I stopped the show, and, and she was just, and then she came up to me afterwards, I'm not giving you a tip. And I was like, okay, great, thank you. And she walked away, and then I started my show about 5 minutes later, so. Another bad experience that I just thought of was I did a pumpkin festival, or no, an Oktoberfest, and it was getting later in the day, and it was getting towards closing time of the festival, and there were these, I think, 3 or 4 kids, and they were just terrible. These kids were probably 15, 16, and they were coming across as arrogant little know-it-alls. So, and luckily it was about time for me to stop performing. It was about 10 minutes, and there was this nice family there, and they were wanting to see a magic show. Their kid was probably about 6 or 7, so they were wanting to see a lot of tricks. I did some tricks, and then those kids came to me, and they were like, and they were being real jerks, know-it-alls, honestly, big-time jerks. So I was just like, and I just didn't pay attention to them. Good tip. I didn't even pay attention to them. They were really heckling the show, and I was just like, I'm sorry, guys. And they're like, no, we understand. So the family, I ended the show. I did one really big finale trick, ended the show, and then my time was about up, so I went over to the volunteer table, was like, all right, my show's over. That's it. I'm done. And then I got my money, and I left. So that was the worst experience, because it was just, because they weren't doing it they were trying to be funny, and they were trying, because they were, 15, 16 little, know-it-alls, and just, so I didn't really like that. But I haven't had really too many bad heckling experiences, which is good. A lot of people love my show. They're laughing all the time when they're watching my show, so that always makes me feel good. So not very many. There might have been like one time where I flashed something I shouldn't have, and they were like, I saw it. But, other than that, I haven't had a really bad time, except for those, inconsiderate high school aged, kids who are not grown up and they're immature. All right, that's going to do it for this week's Magician 101. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next Wednesday for another all-new Magician 101.